I just told something here off. We just making sure that all of our details are right on this, and this is going to blow your mind. If you think the recent TARP repayments show the light at the end of the bailout tunnel, think again. Fannie and Freddie now reportedly each want $400 billion each by year's end in the next 2 weeks. That's $800 billion to Freddie and Fannie. Almost $1 trillion. Plus, the FDIC is almost doubling their budget in anticipation of more bank failures next year. Wow, what do they know that our president isn't telling us? John Fund is here. He's a columnist with the Wall Street Journal and author of How the Obama Administration Threatens to Undermine Our Elections. John, welcome to the program. How are you, sir?
Thank you.
Help me out on this, because this, wow, that sounds unlike everything's going forward, everything's good. $400 billion apiece in the next 2 weeks?
Well, we had a mountain of subprime mortgage debt because we went on a housing binge. We had people buying homes with no down payment. So when the bubble popped in 2008, you were going to have to see a dramatic adjustment in housing prices. Well, we have seen that, but we are now keeping housing prices aloft on a mountain, a sea of debt and borrowed money. And ultimately, that's going to probably have to be paid by our children and grandchildren. In the meantime, all of these mortgages that these federal government agencies, we now own them because we had to bail them out, we're going to have to pour more money into it. It's a merry-go-round.
Okay.
In order for them to keep up their debts, we're going to have to give them more money.
All right. So, John, are we looking now at the $800 billion? Have you heard that they're asking for it in the next 2 weeks because they're going to need it next year, and they know they're going to need it, and they don't think they can get it by the American people next year? And so they can just slide it through right now.
This is all political. If they didn't get this amount of money to pay off the debt that they've piled up because of the mortgages that went south, they are going to have to go to us in an election year. And they can't do that because then the game will be revealed. And that's why I think we're going to see more and more money poured into this rat hole because of the election calendar. They can't do it in 2010 because Congress is up for election. They can't even do it in 2012 because the housing market won't be stabilized and Obama will be running for re-election. We are not going to see reform of these entities, these people that are taking all of our cash, until 2013. So we're just going to have to pony up and pay up.
Is it true that TARP, which was, $700 billion, that is not one lump sum of $700 million or billion dollars? That's revolving 700. So they can lose 400 billion, but there's still 700 billion there that they can use. Is that right? So it's not really 700 billion. It's whatever they want it to be.
Right. In addition, of course, as the money was being paid back, they were supposed to take it in and reduce the deficit. But we've seen that's not going to happen because Obama made a speech last week saying, oh, we found this money here, this TARP money. We'll just try to create more government jobs. We'll try to have more government training programs. So whatever we put into this is basically just going to be wasted.
Right. And they don't mind spending it someplace else because they can just replace it because there's always $700 billion there, right?
And the Federal Reserve has brought interest rates down to historic low levels. Mortgage rates are down to historic low levels. To keep that up, they have to keep printing the money, and that bill will come due later.
John, I want to ask you a couple of things. First of all, Freddie and Fannie, we just have $800 billion, almost $1 trillion in additional funds in the next 2 weeks is what they're asking for, right?
In addition to increasing the debt limit, which is going to be $1.3 or $1.4 trillion.
This is on a separate set of books.
Right.
Oh my gosh. FDIC, these are the people that insure your money when you put it in a bank. They're increasing their budget by 35%, and they're adding an extra 1,600 employees for next year. That means they're bracing for something. Would you agree with that?
They're looking at a whole bunch of banks that are in trouble, have been propped up by all of this Federal Reserve cash, and they may have to fail in the next few months.
Okay. Now, here's what It's a premise that I've been working on all week, and that's what this messy board is all about. Barack Obama said on 60 Minutes the other day, "Oh, I'm tired of the fat cats, the Wall Street guys and the banking scum, et cetera, et cetera." And I just went through, and this is just some of the people. These are just a lot of the main people that he has in his administration. And they're all Wall Street thieves, banking scum, you know, tax cheats, et cetera, all of them. I can't say all of them. Most of them gave money to his campaign. Okay. You've got Goldman Sachs, Citi, Morgan Stanley, JP. All of these people were a part of the problem. But there's one person that I didn't know that the magnet lady was going to leave early today, and so we didn't get the magnet made. But do we have a picture of
Lauren?
Lauren? I know her as the magnet lady. She comes in, here's your magnet. Stop making magnets, please. I keep her in business. Lauren, you should be thanking me. You got a good Christmas because of all magnets every day. Okay, do you have a picture of Peter Orszag, please? This is the magnet we would have made because he is the king of the... There he is, Peter. Tell me who this guy is here, John. Who's Peter Orszag?
Peter Orszag is President Obama's director of the Office of Management and Budget. He's the genius behind the health care plan, which, you know, was going to bend the cost curve and save us all this money. Not.
Can you tell me? Can you tell me what his job was in the early 2000s?
Well, in 2002, he was working on studies on Fannie and Freddie and all of that, and he wrote a famous study, co-authored one in 2002, which said there's essentially zero risk that any of these government-sponsored entities are going to go bust. He says it's inconceivable that they could go under.
Inconceivable.
Wrong.
Inconceivable. The guy who's designing health care, inconceivable that they'd go bust, and they're asking for $800 billion in the next 2 weeks alone, on top of everything else.